Setting out a partition looks easy, right? The bit that self-builders and DIYers get wrong is lining up these two timbers, the top rail and the sole plate. It's a 3D illusion which tricks you into thinking a spirit level alone will get your accuracy, and it won't, as you've got two different axes to contend with at the same time. You'll end up with squint walls and you're setting up for kitchen, tiling, skirting and trim nightmares further down the road. Old school tips and learnings set us free with knowledge, and with that knowledge we can consider modern alternatives. So let's take this little partition project with lots of nooks and crannies, perfect for learning the craft of setting out our internal stud-work. Hopefully you've drawn a simple plan with some dimensions using some constant points. We call those points a datum, and in this case I'll use an opposite wall as my datum. And to set out our partition we want two measurements at two different points along the line, and I'll use the opposite wall since that's the setting out dimensions on the plan. I'll use a crow's foot to do my marks, and if you just make a single line like this, when you leave and come back to it, or if you're working with someone else, I promise you, you will have no idea which point on the line is the exact mark for the measurement. So by creating two lines, we have a precise and clear point, and with the other crow's foot at the other end, we can then ping a chalk line through the apex of the two crow's feet to get the precise line. And if you're on your own, just pop a screw at the far end of one of the crow's foot and hook the chalk line on that. Make sure you just make a single ping with your chalk line, otherwise you'll get confused which line is which. With our setting out line snapped and set, we need to make sure that this chalk line is indeed set out square. And if you watch my other videos, you'll see the way I get these outer walls square and plumb. But if we're not master builders, carpenters and joiners, doing it day in and day out, we need to get into the habit of always double checking and rechecking as we go along. And when you first consider this, you might think it's a waste of time, but as you incorporate it into your workflow, it does become second nature. And as I said before, it saves a load of problems further down the road. We're going to check that the wall is at 90 degrees, a right angle, and if it's not, we can at least make some changes later on, because by alerting yourself to the knowledge that your wall is not quite at right angles, we can consider and be prepared for the knock-on effects. For example, mitering skirtings, areas where you've got kitchen units going up to the edge of it, and how to scribe that worktop if it's not perfect right angles. Doing tile work in a bathroom, which can be a real head scratcher, so double checking at this point is going to save some pain later. I've seen folks using these metal angles for checking the square, and they are pretty good for a quick guide, but it's better to get into the habit of using a 3-4-5 triangle. When you're working with a measure, you want to make as large a triangle, which gives you more accuracy. Here I don't have space for meters, so I'm going to use feet, and I'm going to use 3 foot, 4 foot, and the diagonal, called the hypotenuse, is going to be the 5 foot line, and that's going to be our double check to make sure that we are perpendicular or at right angles or at 90 degrees, so we know our walls are perfect for the next stages and the second fix. Getting into these habits allows you to make quick checks, and once you've incorporated it, it becomes second nature. It's the opposite of death by 1,000 cuts, where people constantly shortcut in the building process, and which I've talked about elsewhere on the channel. For load-bearing partitions, I'll use 89mm CLS, and for non-load-bearing partition, I'm going to use 63mm CLS. Your local friendly supplier, not really trying to confuse you, but confusing you anyway, we'll call the 89 stuff 100 by 50 and the 63 stuff 75 by 50, and if they're in a particularly confusing mood, they'll call it 4 by 2 and 3 by 2. Embrace the confusion and enjoy the fact that this is the way of life for the builder. So first we need to strike our lines, and these days we can use a laser, but let's understand the principles first. Plus, you may not have a laser. The old school method involves the wonderful Plumb bob. You're going to pick up a bob, it's the weight that's important, and these cheaper ones aren't really heavy enough for a building site. where the cord or the string is going to get bent and twisted. The weight needs to be enough to pull out those kinks as it's hanging. You need something with a minimum weight of about 400 grams. Pull it super straight and get that vertical line established. Along with the bob, we need to find cord that isn't easily creased, which can take away from the optimal centre of gravity. If you're like me, you no longer have a Plumb bob because somebody's borrowed it and never returned it, then the backup is the trusty chalk line and box. Chalk line is an important old school tool as well, and you'll use it for everything from setting out partitions, striking the lines of noggins for roofs and walls, and setting out your sheet materials. It becomes second nature once you've got the hang of it. It's one of those tools that really makes the craft of building a pleasure and connects us with our forefathers. Now, before we start with our Plumb bob or our laser, we need to look at the direction of the framing above. For example, the direction of the floor joists or the roof joists, and we need to hope that these joists are running at right angles to the direction of the partition that we're going to build. And if it's not running at the right angles, then we need to use these infill noggins at a maximum of 600 centres, starting with one close to the wall. Now, as well as giving our fixing for our head plate, we need to have these timbers running at right angles so that we can run the top of our Plumb bob line along it. The pointed profile acts like a Plumb bob, and where the point of the bob at the bottom lines up with the floor chalk line we establish for a sole plate, we can make our crow's foot at the top and connect those two lines to give our perfect vertical line. Now, since I don't have a Plumb bob here, I'm using my chalk line and box. The pointed profile acts just like a Plumb bob. You need somebody to check the base as you move the line along the top rail, and once they tell you the point is perfectly aligned with its centre of gravity, the centre point of the chalk box perfectly aligned with your chalk line on the floor, make another crow's foot at the top, and you can ping a chalk line vertically, lining up with the line at the floor and the crow's foot. You do the same at the other end of the new partition, and you can then ping your line along the top and then cut and fix your header plate perfectly aligned in both X and Z dimensions with your floor chalk line. If you're working alone, you can use a prop to support the top plate at one end while you fix at the other, like I'm doing here. I'll fix into the joists, or in this case, the noggins we fixed. I'm using 80mm self-tapping double countersunk screws with a TX drive ahead for the 38mm CLS depth. You're generally looking for a minimum of 2 to 2.5 times the thickness of the thing you're fixing when you are selecting your screws. Now, fixing the sole plate and header plates to the structure is the only time I'll use screws in a timber stud wall partition. We want to be using nails for our stud work and framing, since we want that elasticity that nails give us to cope with horizontal loads, as well as the compression strength from the clamping. Nails are also faster and cleaner, and they don't chew up the wood. I'll use 63 nails, putting in diagonally, and then make a crow's foot on our noggin or joist, and that in combination with the crow's foot on the floor is going to give us a perfect line for us to establish our first vertical stud. And we do the same at the other end, and we can check this with our level once we've placed the first studs, and we need to do that in both directions. For a laser, it's always going to be easier with our crow's feet on the floor at both ends. We want to line up that laser by going through the centre of each crow's foot like we did with the chalk line. As long as your floor is level, the laser will give you that straight line around all four planes, which you can then fix your top plate and sole plate and then the vertical studs. This laser I'm using is from Cigman, and they kindly sent it to me for free. So I'm trying it out here. I've used Hooper and Bosch, which you can find elsewhere on my channel. Years ago, we used to use DeWalt. I think the quality of light is pretty strong on this one for the money you'll pay, and as it's green, the light beam is more visible than the red ones. And if you don't get a clean, sharp line out, say of 2 meters, the thing is pretty useless. If your floor or surface is off level, you can set the electronic bead on the laser to alert you on a building site where you don't have many finished surfaces. And the great thing about these modern lasers is their ability to self-level within a range. range. Just get the centre dot within the larger circle and the laser will automatically self-level within that tolerance. So your surface can be out within a range of degrees. The laser projects accurate lines, and if you can't level, the lines will flash. So it is all very intuitive. The size of the batteries gives it a decent time between charging. I think it's a good balance between cost and quality, and you can get this receiver to pair with it, which if you're setting out foundations or concrete, it's the perfect combo. Just attach it to a stud or staff with the included clamp, and I'll be using it to set out these drainage runs and manhole base in another video. If you're setting out an extension or this small micro home for the price, it's worth considering over the old school manual methods I've talked through on the channel. There's a link to both in the description, along with a simple tripod, decent height extension that does the job for things like kitchen units and suspended ceilings. With our sole plate in place, it's time to take our heights and our widths, get the studs gauged, stacked and cut, and set out for our doors, and think about our internal services and the service holes and notching. Maybe I'll talk about that next time. If you've got any questions about your build, you can get in touch with me here. And once you've done the old school methods a few times with string lines, crow's feet and gravity, it does become second nature. But these lasers now have such a wide application when you consider your kitchens and bathrooms. It's a nice choice to have for the money you'll spend. See these links for other timber frame and stick construction ideas. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. It really helps me, and I'll hopefully see you next time.